Hello and thanks for tuning in. I am Jim Freedom, lead investigator for Street News Network. Today's story revolves around a Mesa mayor's presentation. I was originally told I would be allowed to ask questions during this event, but I think somebody tipped them off that my questions would be difficult because they canceled that portion of the event. One question they asked was about HCR 2060, which has been called SB 1070 2.0. For quick reference, SB 1070, passed in 2010, granted law enforcement free rein to demand that an individual prove their immigration status. Officers could demand that an individual provide their papers based solely on the officer's suspicion that the person was undocumented. This is each mayoral candidate's response to the simple question, would you support this bill?
The Arizona legislature, the leadership of Republicans have voted out a resolution called HCR 2060 that is expected to be on the ballot in November. It has been challenged in court. Like Senate Bill 1070 in 2010, the bill authorizes law enforcement to arrest anyone suspected of being in the state illegally and also provides for their deportation by local police and state officials. Where do you stand on this? Would you do anything in particular with regards to the City of Mesa City Police to address the aspects of this bill?
I was mayor during SB 1070 days, and I know the challenges with immigration. I also know the challenges when the state gets involved, however well-meaning they think they are or are not, in trying to deal with a problem that really we can't control. And I would say that we will focus, as we did during the SB 1070 days, on keeping citizens safe, keeping our residents safe. We need to keep our citizens safe. And I don't care where someone comes from. I don't care what their immigration status is. We are going, if they're in the city of Mesa, if they're doing something wrong, our police will arrest them. And that's their primary focus. People who are hurting other people. Keep us safe. Don't get drawn into these things. So as mayor, no. First of all, I don't think it's going to be a huge issue simply because of the way the law is written. And it will make sure that we focus on what's most important, and that is keeping you safe in your household from those that will do you harm.
I wonder if he cares about keeping people safe. I can't tell. When a politician keeps resorting to keeping you safe for their answer, it's a way of avoiding the question. It's a way of just placating to your general safety and trying to make you feel like he's answering your question in a way that you'll be happy with.
Well, I would support that provision to oppose something that the state has put forward because the state believes that that would be beneficial in terms of helping to keep the citizens safe by reducing the illegal activity that takes place as a result of much of that immigration that comes across illegally. I think that our city should support, and I would be supportive of our city working with the state to make sure that they cooperate and they make sure that the citizens are kept safe, because I think that that is one of the primary responsibilities of the city council and the mayor and the city government. Primary responsibility is to keep our city safe and to reduce crime. Thank you.
This is what you call swallowing the entire boot. He just argued that if the state passes a bill, it's to be assumed that it's for your safety and we should just comply and do whatever it is that the state legislator passes. This bill, a bill just like this one, was struck down in the Supreme Courts, but this guy wants you to just blindly accept a new version of the same thing. What does that tell you?
Thank you. Mr. Freeman.
Thank you. First of all, I don't like the political wrangling of this issue and however it's going to come to the voters. And with that, I personally feel as a mayor that our police department has a responsibility to keep our community safe. And if someone is breaking the law, we're going to enforce the law. If they're not breaking the law, then there will be no enforcement. And I don't feel it's necessary to go out and just highlight any person of color and ask them if they're legal or illegal. I don't feel that's necessary at all. So I'm going to let this play out because we just don't know the outcome of this, and I'm sure that once it happens, there'll be some litigation on this, and that will never come into play into our communities. We're going to just have to let the process play out. So I'm going to leave it that way. Thank you, sir.
And just so I'm clear, because I think I'm clear on the other two candidates who have already spoken, would you support the ballot initiative's passage if it makes it on the ballot in November? Do you support it or not?
I don't think I would.
I don't think so is not a good enough answer, especially to something this heinous.
So the city of Mesa was one of the only cities that was enrolled in the 287G program, which means they could have their officers basically deputized as ICE agents and actively arrest illegal immigrants and target illegal immigrants. And this is something that Sheriff Joe did, and that's something that city of Mesa did at certain points. Hasn't done in many years, but they're still enrolled in that program. So that's something that can be done should the legislature pass this type of legislation. Do I support it? I would only support it towards those undocumented workers that are here causing havoc, that are with the MS-13, that are in gangs, that are selling drugs, that are human trafficking, and those kinds of people. Now, if they're like folks like my neighbors down the street, and they're a roofing contractor, and they're contributing to our society, and they're paying taxes, and they're lawful, and they're law-abiding citizens, I support them being here in the United States. Absolutely 100%. Now let's get to another topic.
I feel like this guy doesn't even understand what it is the bill is even talking about authorizing. They explained it to him in the beginning, but he seems to think that he can have it only selectively enforced on people that are breaking the law. But there's already laws in place for the people that are breaking the law. So you can't have this new bill only affect the people that are breaking the law and not your roofing friends. That doesn't make any sense. That's not what the wording of the bill is authorizing. The wording of the bill is authorizing the harassment of any individual based on racial profiling to check immigration status. Papers, please.
HCR 2060 is discussing misuse of power, and it is a terrible economic mistake, just like SB 1070 was. And just like my colleagues have talked about, that this is a political thing, and the way they put the wording in it is political, and it's terrible. And if you think that we are going to start looking at people and using police power, which the intention is to keep people safe, to start pulling people over for no good reason, you're looking at millions, billions of dollars lost in our state, just like what happened in 1070. There is no way that I would ever support that, and I would actively work against that. I've worked in this historically segregated neighborhood right here, Washington Escobedo. I helped them do their quality of life plan. They were scared during 1070. I worked in Southside Mesa right here, which is largely migrant workers. They were scared during 1070. In 2015, I held the first stakeholder meeting in the Asian district to name and brand that district. They were scared during 1070. This is not the way that Mesa should be acting. This is not the way that we shouldn't even be part of this, and we should be forcefully against it. It's terrible, not supporting. Thank you.
Okay, that seems clear.
That was so refreshing. Finally, somebody that's not afraid to speak out against bad laws. This is what we need from our politicians at every level, especially at the local levels. We need people who are ready to question all the things that all of us know are wrong in our world. We all have our complaints. We all know that there's corruption running amok in our governments at every level. And people like this are the only ones that are going to question those corruptions and get them changed, get them corrected. If you live in Mesa, Arizona, choose your mayor wisely.